What's up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Undrafted Views. We're here. We talk sports from the sidelines, and today we're going to talk about teams competing for the 6th seed. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the Western Conference. Now, we know everybody wants to make the 6th spot because it's really the final seeding before you are forced to play in a play-in tournament, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I think there's only 3 teams that could potentially end up being the 6th seed. You got Dallas, Portland, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, as it relates to the Dallas Mavericks, do you think if they land in the 6th spot, can they even make it out of the first round of the playoffs?
My answer is no. I don't think Dallas can make it out of the first round of the playoffs, considering the matchups. Again, whatever I say, in my opinion, based on the facts that I know right now, will always be based on the matchup. So if the Dallas Mavericks make it to the 6th seed, they'll be matched up against either the Clippers or the Nuggets. And I think both of those teams in a 7-game series can actually win the series if they were to play against the Mavericks.
Yeah, I have to agree with you too, because I don't see Dallas without Porzingis, a healthy Porzingis. It just don't seem like they're deep enough. Luka cannot be the driving force. He can't do it alone.
I totally agree. I don't think they need another player. Yes, they have Hardaway that could potentially do it. They have Bronson that can potentially do it, but someone with more firepower really is Porzingis. And even though Porzingis is so unpredictable with his health, because right now I think he's out due to some type of knee something. So then what would that look like once the playoffs happen? Because that's the same thing that happened when they were in the bubble in 2020. So I just, although Luka is an amazing player, but we all know no one can win a championship by themselves. I don't care what anybody say. And your role players has to be role players that would add enough firepower to your team to push you through. And although they're able to win these one-off games that are happening in the regular season, I just don't see it sustaining through a 7-game series with one particular team. And especially with the Nuggets and the way the Clippers are playing right now, I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. You know, what's funny is shout out to Luka because he was one of the ones who said he wasn't a big fan of the play-in. So what he did was they put together a nice little win streak so that there's a potential that he doesn't even have to play in a play-in tournament. So I respect that about his game.
Yeah, it's all about winning more games, right? And so, yes, he's put the Dallas Mavericks on his back. I'm not taking anything away from his production, his effort, and his drive to win games. He has that. I just don't see him being able to do it. Not the way the Nuggets and the Clippers are playing right now.
No, for me, it's Clippers in 7 and Denver in 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I say Clippers. I'm saying the Clippers that are playing right now during the regular season. I don't know what the playoff Clippers are going to look like, and I'm hopeful that they'll look like they look today, even a little bit better once the playoffs begin. So yeah, Denver absolutely not getting out of the first round.
No, they're not
with that matchup.
Okay, so let's move on to the Portland Trailblazers. Now, I like Dame and CJ, but if they land in the 6th spot, can they make it out of the first round?
I struggle with Portland Trailblazers because Dame has an amazing clutch shot. And that can sometimes be the difference maker in a game. Because if you've watched their games so far, at least within the last month, they have been ending with tight scores.
Yes.
Which lets me know that their shooting ability can be there and you can always bet on Dame. And so if the game is tight at the end and during clutch time, I just don't know. I believe Dame can pull it out. However, collectively, I still think that I don't think they'll make it out. I said all that to say no. And not because I don't think the team is capable, but they haven't proven that they are able to, based on their playoff history, and y'all can go back because I'm sorry, but since Dame has been there, they've made it to the playoffs 7 out of 8 times, I believe. And they have not been able to go deep enough for them to be together so long. So it's a no for me. Yes, a no for me. If they are matched up against the Nuggets and the Clippers.
It's actually a no for me too. Now, our most recent example would be the Blazers playing against the Lakers. Ended up being a very tight game. Blazers were up by 14 points. They allowed the Lakers to come back in that game. Stuff like that against the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets will get you out of the playoffs quickly. So no, I don't see the Blazers, if they land at 6, making it out of the first round of playoffs. For me, it's Clips in 7 and Denver in 7 against Portland.
Oh, it's going to be a good matchup. Trust that. I believe that. Yes, I can support that.
Okay, so let's talk about the defending champs. I mean, started the season really well. They started healthy. I think before AD and LeBron went out, they were 21-6, and now they're the 7th spot. But I think there's a good chance that they'll move up to 6.
In my pre-prediction, I had Lakers ending the season in the 7th spot. So for them to be 7 right now was like, oh my gosh, look what I first seen. But however, if they make it to the 6th spot, the only way that I would trust the Lakers' long 7-game series to make it out would be if LeBron James is playing. So my answer to the question is yes. If LeBron James play, even if they're playing against the Clippers and the Nuggets, I do believe that the Lakers can make it out of the first round. Contingent on LeBron only. LeBron is not playing. Good luck.
Is a 70% LeBron acceptable?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know. What does a 70% LeBron look like?
I don't know.
Because he's bionic. Either he's going to be 100% or he's not. You know, we saw that when he pulled his groin. He wasn't 100% every. You know, it didn't happen for the Lakers.
Okay. So if the Lakers have to play against the Clippers, I say the Lakers can't get out of the first round. I think it's going to be a beat down. Clippers are too deep. You know, they have really good players on their second unit. Like their second unit could start for a lot of other teams. So
their second unit started for the Clippers team. Lou was like, you sit down. Second team, come on in because y'all can't seem to get it together. And I need for you guys to carry us through to this win. So and funny enough, the Clippers they swept the series, the regular season against the Lakers. So and that I'm talking about, that's a Clippers team that has been dismantled because of injuries as well. So we're talking about
and if the Lakers have to play Denver, I don't see it. I think Denver, even without Jamal Murray, I think they're on a rampage this year. They've won 7 of the last 10 without their superstar point guard. Oh, they're deep. I don't see Lakers getting by them.
This is the thing, though. This is what teams need to remember, right? So you got these superstars on your team, right? But if your role players, your bench is not deep enough and you don't have players on there that can hold their own, you will be looking like the Lakers right now. Barely. We had Michael Porter Jr. step up. I mean, he's like, he did 30-something points in the last game they played. Like what? And Pazzo.
Hey, what's up, Compazzo?
I mean, and it's that, right? And they're also missing Will Barton. So Will Barton was a nice scorer as well. And so they don't have that. And they're still able to at least maintain some type of standing. They didn't have to slide all the way down because Jamal Murray was their top scorer. And, you had Jokic who can, he can get anybody the ball. I mean, if you want to come from the stands, he can probably throw you an assist in the stands. I'm just saying. So I am unsure about any matchup that contains the Lakers with LeBron and AD healthy and the Clippers and the Nuggets. I just know that it will be a great series and it's going to go 7 games.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah,
I have Clippers in 6 and Denver in 6.
Really? You just don't see it for the Lakers. Even with a healthy LeBron?
He's not going to be healthy. I still don't think there's enough time for everybody to gel together before it gets real serious. So no. Okay, so moving into the Eastern Conference. Again, there's about 3 teams vying for the 6th spot. You got Atlanta, Miami, and the Boston Celtics, which, it's a big shock for me. But if Atlanta lands as a 6th seed, can they make it out of the first round?
No. Not against the Bucks and the Nets. Absolutely not. No. No. But it's good to see them in the playoffs. Solid spot. I think they have a lot to build on for next season, but not this season.
No. I see complete sweeps in the first round if Atlanta lands in the 6th spot.
You're going in 4?
Yeah, it's gonna be a sweep.
I can support that. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Bucks looking too good right now. I'm sorry.
Bucks looking real good. I'm talking about. Can I just say the Bucks are in playoff mode right now?
Yes.
Yeah,
The Miami Heat look to be putting together a little resurgence, but can
not
they make
enough.
it out the first round?
Not enough. I say no.
Mm.
I'm still a no. I'm still a no, especially with the Bucks. With the Nets, one of the things that Miami Heat has in their favor is defense. They can get a couple of stops, but from a 7-game series perspective, I say no. Not even with the Nets. Not if they
No,
have all three of them. Not if they have their big three on the court.
no. Mm-mm. I don't see it for Miami either. It's unfortunate. Like, I don't see any of the 6 seeds making it out. Okay, so the Boston Celtics, one of your favorite teams. Do you see them making it out of the first round?
No, and I totally see them in the playing tournament. I'm disappointed in them. Can I just say, I am disappointed in them. And yes, I know they've had injuries, and yes, I know they've had health and safety protocol issues on their team. But guess what?
Every
Every
team.
team
Mm-hmm.
has had them. Whether they've had them at the beginning of the season, had them in the middle of the season, or they're suffering through them now.
No excuse.
This is not, no team is on an island when it comes to health and safety protocols and major injuries to their stars in one way or another. So for me, it's a level playing field this season for all teams. And if you are finding yourself that was once a part in 2020 of the Eastern Conference Eastern Conference Finals, and now you're down in the play-in tournament.
Look at the Lakers, defending champs, down in the play-in tournament.
Same applies.
Mm-hmm. Now, although I do not see Boston coming out of the first round, I do have the Bucks in 7 and the Nets in 6.
Bucks in 7?
Yes, because Jason and Jalen, I think they'll turn it on, and Marcus Smart, I think they'll turn it on in the playoffs, but it just won't be enough.
That's interesting because I don't think Jalen will be 100% in the playoffs, not round 1.
Mm.
And that's going to be unfortunate for their team.
It is. Oh, wow. Well, now we have already determined which teams will and will not, in our opinion, make it out of the first round. But if they don't, what does it say about the players and the coaching staff?
So if we're going to be starting with the West, for Dallas, I think we may need to look at the roster. Something about the roster construction for the Dallas Mavs does not give Luka enough support. And I think initially they were relying on Porzingis to be that 2-punch, and they need to rethink what that looks like for the next season because Porzingis is not reliable enough in order to carry the team further in the playoffs, right? Your best ability is your availability. And unfortunately, Porzingis is not available and has not been available when we need him, at least when the Dallas Mavericks needed him. So, injuries happen. I get that and all is fine. But as we're talking about building for the next season, there's somebody else that the Mavericks need to acquire to help support Luka and the Mavericks in their efforts to actually make it to the conference finals. So, and also let's think about it. Rick Carlisle, been there forever.
Yeah, he has. But I don't think he's part of the problem. I think it's a roster problem as well. Now, let's talk about the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Terry Stotts been hanging out in Portland, Oregon a little long. If they don't make it out of the first round, what does it say about the team and Terry Stotts?
It's about Terry Stotts, and let me tell you why. Terry Stotts has been there for about 8 seasons. Do you not know that him, Dame, and CJ have all played together for about 7 seasons together? The 3 of them. Dame was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. CJ was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers, I believe, in 2013. So the 3 of them have been solid on the team. And we know that backcourt.
Yeah, phenomenal.
So if the backcourt is phenomenal and you got Melo who's breaking records, right? And you have Nurkic that can do damage. Then you just added Norman Powell.
Yes.
Here we are again talking about the Portland Trailblazers may not make it out of the first round. Terry, it's you.
It's Terry. I'm pointing fingers. It is Terry Stotts. I'm sorry. When you have an all-star backcourt like that, there's no reason that you are not propelling that team. You got the talent. It's your system. Talent. The system needs help. All right. So the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, this is probably the most uncomfortable situation when you're talking about the defending champs. Like, If they don't make it out the first round, what does it say about them? And Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd and everybody else on the coaching staff.
The roster construction. It's the roster. It's the roster. The Lakers, for me, have been exposed when we're talking about role players. No, I'm serious, because there has been other teams that their star players have been out a couple of games or whatever, and they have been able to at least hold on. That's all I'm saying. Not that you need to move up, but you sliding down.
I mean, all the way down. Mm-hmm.
They almost remind me a lot of the Heat. If Jimmy Butler is not on the court and you got Bam being great as he can be, and y'all still can't hold on, it has to be something with the roster construction. And for me, I believe the Lakers is the roster construction outside of AD and LeBron.
Now, I'll take you one further. I think it's general manager Rob Pelinka as well. Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's his fault because he did not acquire any significant talent during the trade deadline. They didn't want to get rid of THT. You got to win now when you have an aging LeBron and AD on a contract. You can't hold on to THT. He's not going to take you to the mountaintop. Should have got Kyle Lowry or somebody who was available.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Yeah. I didn't think about it that deep, but you're absolutely correct, because they believed that LeBron James, the bionic LeBron James, as we so lovingly know him as, was not going to get injured or could potentially, face some type of injury. But guess what? Yeah. Anything's possible. Mm-hmm. And you didn't prepare for the possibilities. And for me, that's why your point about the general manager is valid.
Yeah. I think Rob Pelinka is a general manager. Don't quote me on that, but I know he has a role in who comes in and who leaves the organization.
General manager, president of basketball, wherever that role is. Yeah. Whoever is in that role,
he's at fault. Okay, so moving into the Eastern Conference now. We talk about the Atlanta Hawks not being able to make it out the first seed. What does it say about Coach Nate McMillan, the current coach, and the roster?
Nothing. I think whatever they have right now, they should at least test it again for the next season. What they need to do is go ahead and give Nate McMillan the contract, because he's the interim coach right now. Mm-hmm. Give him a contract. You mean to tell me you're going to think about changing coaches when he was able to bring this 11th seed team when they got rid of Pierce to the 5th seed right now in the East? No, I'm going to need for him to run it back. He needs to run it back. This whole roster, their whole scheme, whatever they have, run it back next season and then we'll talk.
Yes. And I need them to figure out what they're going to do with John Collins.
Keep him.
Yeah, they need to keep him.
Pay the man. Pay him. Whatever this is, I believe if now once Nate has a full season because already have enough with them, got him to the playoffs, and then run a whole season where he's the head coach.
Yeah, different outcome for sure. Absolutely. I need to run it back. Mm-hmm.
Run it back. Yes.
Yeah, it's just not time, but I think they're okay. It's nobody's fault there.
No. I agree.
Yeah. Now, as it relates to the Miami Heat, Eric Spoelstra been hanging out in South Beach a little long. What does it say about them if they can't get out?
I think it's the roster. They had opportunities to make some moves, and the moves that they did make, Jay Crowder, just may not have been the right one for their team. And, I think that Eric Spoelstra, I don't see them even thinking about letting him go.
Oh, really? You think he's a staple, huh?
I don't think so. I'm not saying he should be, but I believe he is.
And he probably is because, he's been with the organization for a while, was the video man for many years and worked his way up. So I respect that. But I blame the players this time because I don't feel like they came ready to play. I don't care about this quick turnaround. I don't care that they played in the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't care. They should have came ready to play. And you can see the results of that. It's a level playing field. Like you said, every team has had to deal with these different issues throughout the season, but you still got to perform.
And they didn't do it. Yeah, no, they didn't do it. So should they run it back with the same?
They need some changes. I think they need some changes. They need to figure out what they do with Andre Iguodala. They need to get somebody else for the amount of money they're paying him. So the Boston Celtics, really? I don't even know what to say.
Nothing. What? They're fine. They just need to run it back.
You got to be kidding me right now. I know you're kidding.
Brad Stevens said, and I quote, managing health over seeding. He's all right with me.
You mean to tell me you would not go a different direction than Brad Stevens for next season with a young Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Are you serious right now? I guess you're serious. All right. So you already know where I'm going with this. Brad Stevens needs to be fired right now. Like right now, before the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I know. As much as I am rooting for Brad Stevens, it's time for him to find another gig. Yeah. The Boston Celtics run has run its course. It's over. It's over. You know, it's so funny because I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw a hashtag, a post that had hashtag fire Brad Stevens. I'm like, okay, now that's just too deep. Now that ain't, you can't do all that. But no, it's time. You can't. I wish these organizations would stop wasting the talents of their stars. I can't stand it. And I don't know what happened. What was the difference between last season and this season?
I think his voice got stale. You know, it's just not enough. It's just not enough. How
you feel about the Lakers and their general manager and/or president of operations or whatever? I feel the same way about Ainge. I think he takes some of the blame in this. It cannot all be on the back of Brad Stevens. I'm sorry, because Danny Ainge has been in interviews saying, and I'm paraphrasing, that they didn't make enough moves. This roster construction and the team is not performing. Well, Ainge, you are a part of that. Yeah. So I still hold firm that if y'all talking about Brad Stevens, I'm going to need somebody to be looking right in Danny Ainge's face as well. But again, he's one of those Eric Spoelstra staples of the organization. And so I get it, but there is no way that he should not take some of the blame for this season.
Yeah, the Celtics right now, I think they look uninterested. I wouldn't be surprised if they get swept in the first round completely, totally embarrassed, and give up on the game.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh, well. Brad, good luck.
Okay, so now that the play-in tournament appears to be a staple in the NBA, at least for now, is the 6th seed the new 8th seed as it relates to playoff ranking?
Absolutely. It better be. It better be. And guess what? It's made it harder for the teams. It's twofold for me. We must make it to the 6th seed if we want to have a solid playoff positioning. We don't want to fight our way into the playoffs late in the game. That's number one, late in the season. And number two, it also gives other teams that have not performed as well hope that they can make it to the playoffs by way of the play-in tournament. It just adds another layer of competition. That's how I see it.
Yeah, indeed. Now, the crazy thing about being a 6th seed is usually you got a winning record. You've won more games than you've lost. And I still got to fight for my position? Like, that's crazy to me. But I like the play-in tournament. I like it.
I was against it initially, still on the fence about it, but I do understand from the competitive nature of it. Part of me is like, it may not be too bad as long as teams want to compete. Now, what I don't want to have happen is what happens when we had the 8. People start tanking. And they're like, you know what, we'll just do what we want to do. We're going to rest our players because we still got the play-in tournament to kind of, fight our way through. Like, don't do that. Keep it competitive, so.
Yeah, it has definitely made the games more meaningful at the end of the season because, we would not be seeing Kawhi Leonard out there on the court at this late stage of the season. We wouldn't.
On minutes restriction because of his foot. He would be on load management. Let's just call it what it is.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. When you still got teams like the Raptors still trying to get in. Play-in tournament? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. All right, y'all. So that wraps up this episode of what we think about the potential 6 seeds getting into the playoffs, and if they do, whether they're going to make it out. Make sure you drop down in the comments and let us know what you think about this, and we will see you guys on the next one. But until then,
peace.
Peace, y'all.